Alright, so shall we start? I need to stream for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see the stream?
Yep, I can see the stream.
Okay, so this is a quick introduction. This video is going to be about team awareness, and what I want to do here is show how another player can watch Bongo's playthrough here in a match and kind of guess his decisions, like his reasoning. Also, I want to help those that are maybe stuck in gold and around platinum understand there's a different layer to playing your games in ranked, and it's not all about just trying to outgun the enemy. So the subject is team awareness, as I said, and that's what we're going to be focusing on this game, this video that we have here. Alright, the only other thing I want to mention is that I haven't seen this footage here, so it's going to be quite fun because I'm going to see it for the first time, and maybe Bongo can remember his his experience going into things. Right,
making a lot of noise.
So this is someone that you played with quite often.
Yeah, I met him in solo queue a couple weeks ago, and we basically played like 4 games together and won all 4 up in at like Plat 1, Diamond 4 area, and we just kept matching up, and we've been playing off and on for the last few weeks together.
Okay, cool. So you had some chemistry or something was working.
Yeah.
Right,
he's a really good player, and so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some fraggers to kind of sit in front while I can kind of play that support role and just keep them safe and keep them alive.
Awesome.
The important thing is not to die.
So essentially, I'm going to be watching you. I'm going to try and make sense of what you're doing, because I really want people to understand that there are elements on the battlefield that help you, or that you can use to make your own decisions, instead of it being just kind of running around randomly or moving closer to the enemy or further away from the enemy only.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot going on when we're dropping into these games, especially ranked, because you're trying not to die, and you get more points based on that. So
yeah. This is gonna be dope. I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So here's one thing that I want to point out to people is that already, I guess you guys know that there's no one really around you, right?
Yeah, you'll see as I'm flying in there that I'm looking around. I'm just trying to make sure, hey, are we contested? Do we have enemies here, or do we have time to loot?
Right. Awesome. This is one thing. I don't know if you do this, but I always am very aware of the arrows on the minimap, what they're doing. Because I solo queue a lot. If I see one moving, how can I say this? Whenever I look at the minimap, I'm looking for discrepancies. So I am actually checking if this looks normal to me, then I'm not too worried. But if I see one arrow over here, that's like, oh, what's going on? That's wrong, right? Like there's nothing over here, so he must be moving, and it immediately takes my attention, and then I move because of that. It's like a flash. Like I just check it now and then, and if I see one, who's your friend? The blue one. So the green arrow is the one I would be very wary of, right? Because you have no control over him. So already it's obvious that you're in no immediate danger, so you have time to loot and you try and loot as fast as you can. But as time goes by, you're gonna need to you're gonna want to keep closer to your team because we don't know the random variables that will happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe after you get the loot here, you probably end up grouping up.
Right, looking for that loadout. You know, you usually
Mhm.
have a couple guns that you really like to run, and I usually just pick up all the loot until I find one of those pieces, and then just hold on to those until I find the gun.
See, where was that shield? Was it in the building?
So in my mind, you'd
There
grab
were,
the shield and
guys
you'd just
fighting up at,
link up with your
John,
team
right?
straight away. That's the only thing you do. I think that's quite, you know, basic.
Ooh, I need
But
a
we
master
don't know
get that in the crafting.
how the what's her name Horizon is gonna play, right?
Right.
So your team, it looks like he's scouting, and you're quite aware of on what they're doing right now. They've been on your screen.
It's a long way to the ring.
So you know what I like here. So this could be for your own hide, right? But whenever I tell people team awareness, right? It's one thing I try to tell them is to look in the areas that your team is unaware of, or the places that you think is most dangerous. And I think that there's a clear glimpse of that here when you turn right here, right there, right? That little turn here is enough to help your team. Because if there is anyone coming, you're going to signal it right away. Right? You're not constantly just looking at your team because they have that side covered.
Long way to the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because I'm in a vulnerable spot here.
Right.
Trying to craft, it brings attention, and you know my team's up the hill, so I'm gonna have to be real on it if someone's coming up from behind me.
Not far. Yeah, that sounds
Nice.
There it is again. So you know they're pinging this way, but you don't know what's here. And right now you're the only one looking here again. So they've already checked, but you're checking, right? To see for yourself. And again, this still helps them.
There's another one. Probably going for these boxes right over this hill. Might be able to get a drop on him.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back
Yep.
on ours.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I guess it was.
He spotted me.
Okay, so this is the first thing I want to point out here, right? Is you know this guy is shooting someone, and I don't want people to get this mixed up with when you're trying to help your team work with them that you just stick by them the whole time. Right now, you've gone to this angle here to make sure there's nothing else going on, and you're still with your duo, right? Cramp. And it's kind of, you trust that this guy is not going to do anything too crazy, right? If he jumps off the cliff, if there's a cliff there, I think you're going to try and maybe watch his back. But right now you can see he's okay. He's just shooting.
Right.
Broken. Bro, they're
Yeah, and I
they're
know
fighting-
that if I try
that's
to
not their
get
squad.
the same angle as him,
Okay.
it kind of cuts down on what my team can do.
I'm moving
Yes.
right. We got more in here.
In contact with the enemy.
This is the stuff that I want to talk about. So right there, you know there's an enemy. So the average player, right? Let's say, you know, someone between, you know, silver and gold, right? They'll see someone and they'll immediately want to deal damage, want to try and kill this person because what else is there to do kind of thing. But right?
I'm moving.
Your teammate, your duo is quite far away from you. That's the one you're probably trusting the most. But you're still with your teammate.
Right?
Right now, you signal,
We got more in here.
but you have no interest in challenging him because it would be a 1v1. And your teammates are doing something else. So you're more interested in joining them.
Contact with the enemy.
Oh, you drop off here?
I mean, I noticed she's healing.
Yeah.
I figured free kill.
So here you're out of options here, right?
Mhm.
You have to fight that. And you get it.
You want to rush this Gibraltar real quick?
Let's
Can
do
you
it.
get Jimmy?
See, and then here it is. So this is what we want to see, is that when you do get to make a decision yourself, you include your teammates. It's never just a solo, run in there and then you do your thing and then scream at your teammates if you go down, right?
Right.
You've coordinated this by just saying, okay, and the reason why that play gets to happen is because you never forced anything back here, right? Right
Mhm.
here.
We got more in here.
You could tunnel vision on that guy, but
Yeah.
you don't.
Well, and then also, like, if I do drop down to chase that guy, good thing I didn't, because he would have had a teammate right on my back. you
Right.
know?
This guy was a bit of a surprise, to be honest, because I had no idea he was there.
You want to rush
Yeah,
this
I think
Gibraltar real quick?
I think the Horizon was
Let's do it.
fighting him,
Alright.
and so I was able to just kind of clean up that kill.
So this is nice. You're making sure you know where your friend is going, and you're taking a slightly different angle.
There you go. All right,
Yeah, fine.
cracked.
Because another thing that I've seen when I've been helping people play, because I don't want to confuse people too much, but when I say, like, make sure you're with your team, right? They're constantly trying to catch up to the heels of them, right? And that's good in certain situations, right? In this, you're expecting to fight a 2v1, right?
Real quick.
So there's
do
no
it.
real need to be right beside him. He's going to take an angle and you're going to take an angle, and you both should be able to play that,
Alright.
in a way where it's an unfair match for them.
Yeah. All right. That's right. Yeah, and then we're just trying to taking free shots there. I didn't know if the guy was low shield or anything, but if he's on that zip line without a shield, you can get 50 damage and maybe you get the kill.
Yeah.
But then we just immediately leave him.
Because he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, it's like we can chase, but I think there's another squad here. So we really third partied, and these two teams kind of just let us have a 1v, like an isolated fight.
Give me my shields to recharge.
See, there's still even more there, right? There's still even more there that I'd like to point out,
Sure.
right? So it's like the tunnel vision stuff, right? Why are you going here? To me, it seems clear, right? It seems clear that you're going to see what's going on. You're providing like backup for Cram here, but you realize that there's no, I guess, immediate threat, right? There's no kill confirming being done here, and along with no real objective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see, you don't want to take that fight because there's a reason why you didn't take that fight, and it could be because he has the triple take, but you're not too interested because you're quite comfortable here and you're with your team, so there's no need to like press that fight. But why?
Mhm.
So why did you not like continue to shoot them here, right?
Well, I mean, I triple take versus Hemlock, and you can kind of see it in these shots, but I don't
Mhm.
have the best recoil control on this thing. So
Mhm.
at that range, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to hit him with one bullet per burst, and it's not going to work. But the reason I come up there in the first place is because I see those shots coming straight above Cram's head there. And so I want to be there in case, hey, I don't know if this guy's right up on him, but I want to be there in case he is. And if he's not, then I can back up a little bit, check these boxes, you know, resume the
Yes.
fight.
Perfect. That's another thing that I see a lot is people getting sucked into fights long range, for no reason. Like even Cram here is he's not really challenging anyone, right? He's holding his position, but he's not really challenging anyone. One thing that I try to point out to people is if you take too much damage long range, it's your choice to, because they can't shoot through this rock, right? If you peek and you take a lot of damage, it's your own doing, and you need to have a reason for that. You know, were they immediate threat? Do you need to challenge them? And here, even though they're shooting at Cram, you still feel comfortable enough to back down.
And so right there, that arc star, we see that arc star explosion, and that tells me that, hey, these guys are actually close enough to be able to hit us with an arc star. And I back around this side of the mountain because I know if I go on that far side,
So right here,
just after this, right after I hit that loot box. If I go on the if I go on the other side of this rock, so like right here, our guy's peeking. There's this arc star that pops. And
Right
if I
there,
keep
yeah.
going, and if I keep going around that side and try to go and challenge him on that angle, I now lose all of my like height advantage and cover because I'm on the front side of that hill. Whereas if I rotate around this angle, I can still see the same stuff, but I can easily drop back behind these boxes. I can just crouch and they can't see me, that kind of thing.
yeah. So we got a bit of positioning awareness there as well. So
They're in the
now
truck.
you can see. So you've been kind of hanging back there, right? Especially when you went back for the loot box, and now this obviously looks it looks obvious to people when you point it out, but I think people that might be watching this video, they may often find that they're late to fights, right? They find it hard to keep up, and how you keep up is you read the movements, almost like the body language of the players, right? Both the enemy and your team. But if you're focusing on your team here, you can clearly see that your one of your team members is going in, especially when they come into your field of vision.
Nice, they're taking some
Right.
spots.
Because right now you're just lobbing grenades, you're not really trying to get close. But as soon as you see this, right, you're gonna try and move in. Whether you try and get another position here, or you just go in with that guy, because he might fight in a spot where you cannot cover him from.
Yeah, and I think actually one thing you got to remember on this play was that triple take player. Remember, he was he was beyond this building to the left there, kind of closer to the zip line. And so I'm assuming that guy is part of this squad that's where a couple players are still in this building. And so if they try to run, they're going to take that route. So if I followed Cram, then they can take that route freely, and I have this house blocking my line of sight. But if I take this higher route, then I can see them running out of the building and punish them for that, because I know where they're going to go.
Perfect. Let's see
They're in the
what
truck.
happens.
Enemy spotted.
So you're going over to the rock I saw. Awesome.
They Revenant ulted in the...
So this is always important to show that you can still be with your team, still help them from a great distance, as long as you're in the correct position. You don't always have to run up. So what happens if you run towards this house? You guys lose a lot of spatial, like, defensive options, you know? You can't cover the ground here as well as you you can, when you're standing here, if you was right with them, you know.
Right.
The top floor.
Contact.
All right.
Because right now, so right now they're having a fight, but you're just providing, you're like the scout or eyes for them, you know, to know what's going on. If you guys kind of rush into one place, I guess we call it collapsing, right? When you all go into one spot, you lose your team awareness, and you didn't give that up, right? On top of that, what's the options for these guys? If it gets a bit heated in there, they can also run out, and then you can provide cover for them. Whereas if you're all there and you run out, then, you know, the enemy just has to look at one, what's it called, point of interest. Right now they have two, you here and there.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds right? Or
Yeah, no, that's and especially because I knew there was one that was outside of the building. As we're coming up, I'm pinging the car,
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, there's someone in that car," and so I don't want to collapse in, because then that person in the car can do whatever he wants without us knowing that they're
Yeah.
doing it.
Awesome.
Enemy spotted.
Yep, nice. So you're not gonna let this guy run out for free.
Right.
They Revenant ulted in the top floor.
It also worked really well that the Horizon took the roof there, because I was able to cover that angle really
We got
well.
one running. That's right. Run, little man.
Yeah, and so I trust them to get the kills. They finished both of them.
Hey, you guys.
Now
have
I'm just
GBL?
checking around, making sure. Hey, can we chase this guy?
No.
And look, we got a Jibby ult behind us.
This guy's running this way.
Taking everything I can.
And I just let the guy run because he's a solo.
I
Again,
think
there's no
Jimmy
reason to
came back
chase
for
that
Boxes.
if my squad's not ready to chase it.
Perfect.
I don't see him.
Now I'm kind of looking around for the source of that Jibby ult, because as big of a guy as he is, he can't throw it that far. So I know he's got to be somewhat close.
Yeah. I wonder why he threw that.
I think it was the one that got away. Remember that zip line after we killed the 2 out of the 3?
Yeah.
So I think he was coming back to get banners, and just threw that as cover, I guess.
Somebody carrying a light.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No.
Picked up a mag.
Right? This is still is very subtle. I'm pointing out all these subtle things, but I can see that even now you guys know you have to jump, but notice how you don't just run and jump straight away. You kind of pause to see what your team is doing, right?
No.
Picked up a mag.
Yeah, and I'm really just checking. Hey, I don't know how many times I've jumped off that cliff and gotten fried by someone in fragment. So just making sure that we're okay.
Because I feel like if your team just ran and slid off right away, you probably would have been right there with them doing the same thing. But
Right. Yeah, and I mean ultimately we were fine in that case, but
mhm.
you know, just good to
Taking head
good to
over here.
check where you're going if you can.
So here, all right. So we know that your team is getting your member here, your team member is getting hit by someone. Instead of just turning towards them and running to them, you're taking another angle to provide cover and get into the fight, provide cover. Taking a different angle will allow you guys to control more space as a team. So another common error I see is as soon as there's a fight, the I guess natural response for some people is to just run straight to their teammate that's under fire, you know, instead of take another location.
There's Horizon back here on the tracks. She's cracked. Oh, she is low. 47 flesh.
So now what do? See, stuff like this, because you could say you just turn around to see if there's an enemy, but you still gain some awareness of what your team is doing, like actual visuals, you know, this that you know he's moving in this direction, right? Because it's not always obvious. That guy could just be running somewhere else, and you would have caught him if he wasn't looking, right? So this is another thing I don't see a lot of players do when they're in trouble or when the battle kicks off. They never turn around. They never really check other areas. And we could say this is a coincidence, but I don't. I think it's a habit. Again, so you've seen.
Let's just keep moving. We gotta get to the choke.
Got one right here.
Alright. Come to you.
Let's get this thing going. So we can go.
So now you have to be aware of what this guy is doing, because you know your Wraith is behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this guy decides to pick a different fight in this case. I remember this fight.
So now you're here trying to provide backup. Oh, they're hitting some nice shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can see one guy is healing. Your teammate looks like he's going on top, right? And this is the guy. You've kind of chosen to protect him due to his health, right?
Right. And I kind of need to heal too.
Mm-hmm.
That Horizon, she really was beaming with that wingman.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So this is something beautiful that I want to show, right? Because to me, it just doesn't look like you're just shooting random people you want to fight and you're shooting. This is the guy that you've queued up with, right? So
Right.
you're naturally going to want to work with him, right? You've got more trust with him. So you've left this guy down here, right? Now he's fighting whoever's shooting him, the Wraith or whatever, and you go over to help. So you're about that 2v1 action, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? So here it is, right? And now this guy is a danger to you, right? And I don't know, it looked like he looked at him, but you're backing this guy up, right? And now you're still up here, right? But your team, your teammate, he drops down, and that pulls you, that forces your hand, right? Because
Yeah.
you've got a Phoenix. If he stayed up there, maybe you guys would have healed up. Who knows what you guys would have done? But he's about that battle, and you're about helping him. So you're not gonna go for this, right? You're about that 2v1 action.
That's right.
Which is what I want. I want everybody to see this, the thought process of why they do things, because this is too tempting, you know? The Phoenix kit.
Right.
What the?
So-
That guy was just hitting everything.
I think that showcased beautifully what I'm talking about having team awareness, because, you know, the argument is, oh well, if you stayed up here, you could have got a Phoenix off, right? And then had full health. But then you would be fighting a 3v1. You know what I mean? So it's better to take the chance with your team sometimes. And in this situation, I think that was correct, you know?
Yeah. And really, this
What
I
the-
win
that
this
guy
fight
was
if I hadn't
everything.
traded shots with the Horizon at the beginning. I tried to challenge her when she was peeking, like all the way at like right here. I tried to challenge her, and this is something that I'm working on is when do I challenge, when do I don't. But right here, I try to challenge her, and she ends up taking
yeah.
she takes all that health from me, and I don't take another shot until she gets me there at the end.
I actually
Well, I
got...
guess I get this shield bat off, but yeah, that's
It's still so this is what we want to try and avoid most of the time, you know?
Yeah.
Healing in a fight, it takes it's, you know what, it's a couple seconds, but it's still downtime. I actually have a concept I was trying to share earlier today, but I'll talk more about that maybe another time. I can't wait to share it with you though.
Cool.
Alright, we can
Yeah.
end this video here.
awesome.
Alright, thank you, Bongo, thank you.